My name is Ken Clemmy and I work for the Monterey County Mosquito Abatement District. And today we have a very special video that will talk about integrated pest management. There are three parts of integrated pest management. There is physical control, chemical control, and biological control. And we use all three of these with each other in order to get the maximum mosquito killing result possible. So what we're going to talk about today is physical control to help control mosquitoes. So we have put together a quick video for you guys that will show you what physical control actually does for mosquito districts. We're going to head out to the field right now and we're going to check out and see how it's done. All right, so today we're out here and this is called Upper Car Lake. We're with heavy equipment operator Jerry Rasmussen, and he's here to answer a few questions you may have about physical control. So Jerry, we're out here. You got this big piece of equipment. What do you do with it? What's going on?
About 10 to 14 years ago, we were trying to come up with a solution for tules and cattails in wetlands because of all the thatch. And the mat would get so thick that it was unusable to practically everything. So we started testing various mowers and various equipment, and we came up with this rig with a 700 brush shredder and a 6420 with a low ground pressure. We started experimenting with it. We tried snow cats and other various things, but nothing seemed to work as good as this, and it's just been great for us.
So Jerry, what is the purpose of mowing? What does it do for mosquito control?
So the first year that we mowed, we mowed an area, and we call it sculpting. And we would cut 30-foot wide swaths and leave 10-foot bands. And what we found the first year is that all of the thatch material would float on top of the water, and we were worried that it was going to create more breeding for mosquitoes. But actually what occurred was it diversified the habitat, and it also allowed us to get our material in to where the mosquito larvae are. And we got excellent control this way.
Wow.
So we've been continuing it for the last 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And it's been very successful.
So Jerry, what kinds of things are you doing out here? What are you looking for? What kind of tips, techniques, tricks do you use, or what's the main goal?
Well, the first thing I do when I approach a job site is I go around the whole border a couple laps just to make sure, just in case. You know, there's always a potential for fire, and just in case, I always want to make a fire break first. I always am looking for endangered species or, critters to avoid, but realistically, the most I ever see is rats and mice.
Okay, so you've just heard it from our industry expert, heavy equipment operator Jerry, and how he uses physical control to help control mosquitoes for the district. Part of what we do here at the district is we mow weeds. And we mow weeds so that we can get control of mosquitoes easier. And that helps us so we can get the material down into where the mosquito larvae are growing, and then that makes the product work a lot better. Over the years, the mowing has really helped us to be able to get a level of mosquito control that is acceptable to both the district and residents. And lo and behold, Christy Wyckoff from the Santa Lucia Conservancy contacted us and said, hey guys, can you tweak your mowing habits a little bit differently, because it's really benefiting our tricolor blackbird. Can you make a few adjustments and we can see if we can get these populations of these endangered species elevated? We said sure. So we're going to head out to the field and we're going to see what Christy has to say. Jeremy here with the Monterey County Mosquito, and I'm here today with Christy Wyckoff, and she is a wildlife ecologist from the Santa Lucia Conservancy, and she's here to talk a little bit today about the tricolored blackbird and about how our paths crossed, and a little bit about the Conservancy and what she does.
Absolutely. I work with tricolored blackbirds, which were recently listed by the California Endangered Species Act as threatened. And we're very interested in their persistence and survival around here, and one of the biggest challenges for this species is habitat. And the birds really like areas that have been turned over, that have regeneration in the vegetation every year or two. And one of the unexpected surprises of what's going on here at Laguna Seca is that the management practices you guys are doing are really beneficial for the bird. They love the mowing that happens and the staggered pattern where you guys change it each year. It creates an opportunity for new vegetation to emerge, and that's what the birds use for building nests. And then the next year, your team mixes it up, puts in a new pattern, and the birds come and they thrive again. And it's just been a really successful way of managing the habitat for the birds.
It was exciting for us to find that out as well, because the reason we mow the tules is because monocultures will choke out the natural predation of other beneficial insects that predate on mosquito larvae, and it also helps open up the tules so that we can get bacillus, one of our main biological pesticides, into where the mosquito larvae are. So we're going to take you down to the tules where we're talking about and show you a little bit more. Follow us.
You can see this is nice and thick, and so a bird could easily weave its nest right in here. Whereas a spot like this is pretty, not very thick, right? And so the birds wouldn't be able to weave their nest in it. And it's incredible. The birds will arrive in March and April, and the new cattails will only be a few inches to maybe a foot taller than the water, because right now we'd be up to here in water. And they know that they're gonna grow, and they will hang out and start to scout out spots. By the time they're ready to start breeding and building their nests, the cattails will go up and the water starts to go down, and it's this amazing timing.
This is just a freshly mowed section of Laguna Seca, and I'm going to have Christy talk to you a little bit about the biology of the tricolored blackbird and the benefits that we help Christy with.
Absolutely. So the tricolored blackbird is a colonial nesting species, which means that hundreds and sometimes up to tens of thousands of birds will all locate in one place and nest together. The strategy for this is that they can find food as a group, and they can also help each other be aware of predators. But a big group like that needs a big space to nest in, and they also are very particular about the nesting substrate, the vegetation that they're building their nests in. And one of the funny things about tricolors is that the males will show up first and they'll check a spot out, and then the females will show up about 2 weeks later, and they basically give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And then if that doesn't work for them, they'll move on. And what a female is looking for is she wants fresh vegetation, such as cattails, which is what we're surrounded with, or tules, or a bulrush species. And they want something that's vibrant and green and upright. As soon as the cattails start dying, or the tules start dying, they start to fall over. They become senescent, and we call them senescent and decadent. And what that does is it basically creates a matrix or a ladder for predators to climb up to the nests themselves. So when the females arrive and they see a spot like this, where the new vegetation is growing from last fall's mowing, the birds will see that and they say, "This looks good," and they'll start building their nests. But if you don't do the mowing, or if you don't have a disturbance of some sort, such as fire or flooding or mowing, as I mentioned, you get a lot of buildup of dead material. And the birds don't like that. And so one of the great things about the management that's going on here is that it creates that turnover in the vegetation. And so each year when the birds come, there's new, fresh, emergent vegetation. The tules will grow over a course of about 3 years after they're mowed, but the cattails come back every year. And so the abundance of cattails at this site and that turnover that you guys are helping with each year is exactly what the birds need. So when you and I first talked about the mowing practices out here, I was pretty surprised at how much the birds liked it. And the partnership between the Conservancy and the Mosquito District has come to where we're able to talk about how we can tweak this a little bit. And so you guys have expanded the size of the swaths so that they're about 10 feet wide, which is what the birds like. That creates enough of a buffer that they can build their nests inside the area, and then there's some cover along the sides. And so by changing the spots that get mowed each year and leaving a large stand in between, it's become this great spot that supports up to 1,000 tricolors in this wetland right here. In general, I'd say that we're doing what's right for the birds, and the birds are voting, right? The birds are showing up and they're giving you the thumbs up. When
Good.
you have 800 to 1,000 birds showing up and nesting here, that means you're doing something right. And maybe we can get those numbers up a little bit.
I hope you guys enjoyed this short clip and insight into what mosquito districts do. And our next talk will be about biological control. And until then, be safe.